What is probably the biggest trade of the 2025 MLB Trade Deadline just happened as Jhoan Duran, the closer of the Minnesota Twins, is heading to the Philadelphia Phillies in a huge blockbuster trade, with the Twins acquiring two top prospects from a loaded Phillies farm system in return for one of the best closers in Major League Baseball. The Phillies, with Kyle Schwarber, JT Realmuto, and more hitting free agency at the end of this year, know that they need to win the World Series now and are hoping that they can revenge the 2022 Astros and actually get to the top and win it all in 2025. While the Twins, seeing that they're having a down year, end up capitalizing on Duran's value and really going all in, acquiring two really great talents and players that could be huge impact players at the major league level in exchange for their superstar closer. In this video, we're diving right into this trade, talking about all aspects of it, each player involved in the deal, and also giving you gut reaction trade grades for both the Twins and the Phillies, with, again, what is probably the biggest blockbuster of the 2025 deadline. Get strapped in, things are heating up, not on the hot stove because that's the off season, but on the trade stove. So get ready as we dive into this, and even more craziness is set to happen in the next 24 hours. To stay on top of everything happening this deadline, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It's the easiest way to stay informed and helps me and my channel grow and get you more baseball content, not only about this trade deadline, but from other awesome, great baseball content creators out there as well. Without further ado, let's dive into this trade and get excited as the trade deadline is officially scorching hot. Jhoan Duran might have been the most valuable piece available at the trade deadline. Some might argue Eugenio Suarez, but in terms of a control perspective, Duran definitely takes the cake. He has 2 more years of team control after 2025, which is why he demanded such a high price. He just finished his first arbiter at the end of this year, making $4.1 million, definitely making more in the next 2 years as arbitration increases, going into his age 28 season in 2026. But man, the Phillies are getting a great player who's going to immediately upgrade their entire team, and especially a bullpen that might have been one of the few weaknesses the team had. Duran broke out to the scene as a rookie in 2022 across 57 games, a 1.86 ERA, 2.9 BWAR. He struck out 89 batters in 67 and 2/3 innings pitched. That's good for an 11.8 strikeout per nine. A true breakout sensation for someone who ended up saving 8 games as a rookie and has gone on to basically lock down the closer role and be one of the best closers in baseball since his call-up. In 2023 and 2024, he has saved 27 and 23 games respectively for a total of 50. So far this year, he saved 16. Definitely a high-end reliever in his age 27 season. So far, 2025, he has 2.3 BWAR, a 2.01 ERA. That's good for a 2.14 ERA plus, meaning his ERA is 214% better than the average major league pitcher. Again, 16 saves. His strikeout rate is a little bit lower. So far, he's striking out 53 batters and 49 1/3 innings pitched. That brings his strikeouts to 9 down to 9.7, but still highly effective stuff. Definitely a very dominant back end piece that is going to complement a Phillies bullpen really, really well. Duran uses 2 pitches 70% of the time, a split finger fastball and a 4-seamer, but he also has a really nice knuckle curve. He uses about 20% of the time, and a sweeper the other 10%. Really great effective 4-pitch mix, which you don't often see from a reliever. Generally, you see 2 pitches, maybe a third from back end guys who are really dominant. But Duran is unique in the fact that he has these 4 pitches that are all really, really valuable. The sweeper, he tends to really locate only one part of the zone. You very rarely see it actually in the strike zone. Ironically, it's often outside of the plate, whereas split finger and 4-seamer are definitely ones that he throws basically heart of the plate every time or somewhere around there. And the knuckle curve is sometimes around the sweeper where it ends up, but definitely throws it more in the strike zone. But if you look at the sweeper, it is almost never in the strike zone. I'll throw that graphic up on the screen now of the 59 sweepers he's thrown so far in 2025, and you can see not many of them are actually in the strike zone. With 2.5 years of team control left, Duran is going to be a staple in the back end of the Phillies bullpen for the next couple of years, pairing up with Orion Kirkring, Matt Strahm, and Jordan Romano. And given that Jose Alvarado is not eligible to compete in the postseason due to his 80-game suspension that he began serving back in March, right now the Phillies could use the bullpen help. Looking at Tanner Banks, Max Lazar, Daniel Robert, Al Rangel, these aren't players that are really exciting when it comes to a bullpen piece right now. So adding Duran is going to be a huge addition to a team that really has a lot of strengths, but bullpen was definitely one of their glaring weaknesses that they needed to address, and they decided to address it big. With an electric pitch mix and amazing stats so far in his 4-year career, Jhoan Duran is now a huge addition for the Philadelphia Phillies, and the Twins might now be in sell mode with more of their players like Griffin Jax, so only time will tell how that will all play out. For Duran's services, the Phillies give up one consensus top 100 prospect, bordering on top 50 prospect, and another who's borderline top 100. We'll talk about the higher ranked one, Eduardo Tait first, a catcher who only signed for a very small amount of money in the 2023 signing class. Only $90,000, which is very small to sign Tait out of Panama. Someone I have on my fantasy team that I got when he first signed, so I was very excited to see him grow the way he has. He's a lefty catcher who definitely has a cannon behind the dish. That is his calling card. He has really great ability to throw out catchers. He's not going to be Yadier Molina, but he is going to be someone who can definitely be a valuable asset behind the plate. He still needs to work on his framing a little bit, but long term, there's definitely the possibility he sticks at catcher and is going to be a very good player going forward and potentially a all-star nearly every year of his career. As I mentioned before, his defense needs some improvement, but he's only 18. He's going to be 19 next month, and that's a lot of room for improvement for someone who is very young. And again, at 18, he's playing in high A. The average age of a player in high A is in the 20s. He's one of the youngest players, if not the youngest player, playing at high A right now, and he's doing very well. For Philadelphia's Jersey City Blue Claws, he has a 296, 286, 407 slash line, good for a 693 OPS across only 7 games. But he really impressed in Clearwater, their high A affiliate, with a 758 OPS across 57 games, striking out 64 times, so still a little bit of swing and miss in his game. But he did hit 11 home runs, did a very good job of hitting doubles as well with 19 of them. So he has the ability to be very good in terms of hitting as well, which is not something you often see from a catcher. He has a lot of pop. He could very easily be a 20-25 home run guy at the major league level. That is his offensive calling card, but he can spread the ball all over the field. And he can be a little pull happy sometimes just based on the fact that when you're young and you have power, it's kind of what you like doing. But if he can rein that in, which should be relatively easy, he's going to be a very, very good player going forward. Tait has the hallmarks of being a middle of the order bat for a long time to come, and being so young and already doing so well at these higher levels is incredibly impressive. Of course, there is some risk. Again, he needs to improve as a catcher. Right now, he has the ability to stick there. He just has to work on some of the fundamentals and framing a little bit more to make sure that that sticks. But Tait is someone who is a very, very good player. Again, a top 100 prospect. He's rated 50 on Baseball America. He's rated 56 on MLB Pipeline, which did update their top 100 before the trade deadline. This is absolutely a player who is a huge, huge asset to the Minnesota Twins and is going to be a major leaguer and likely a multi-time All-Star if everything works out. Given that his offensive production is really his calling card, if catcher doesn't work out, he could end up at a corner outfield spot or first base, which would still be valuable because the bat can carry him there, which is not something you can always say for a catcher. This also allows the Twins, when Ryan Jeffers does end up going and departing in free agency in a couple years, maybe Eduardo Tait is right there to kind of pick up the slack, and Christian Vasquez isn't an answer at the position long term. So in a couple years, Tait could very well make his major league debut in maybe 2027 and be a very nice impact player for them. They don't have a ton of catching depth in their minor league system that are really jumping out and being someone who could be a very impact player right away. So Tait could be that very, very quickly. The other player heading over to Minnesota in this deal is right-handed pitcher Mick Abel, who back in 2023, Baseball America ranked as the number 35 prospect in all of baseball. He's currently the number 6 player in the Phillies system, and MLB Pipeline currently has him as 92 overall in baseball. So it's not like he's fallen off, just he has struggled a little bit. Injuries make things difficult, but he still is a very high-end talent that the Phillies are giving up to acquire Jhoan Duran. He has made his major league debut in 2025, going 2-2 with a 5.04 ERA in 6 starts, 25 innings pitched, 21 strikeouts to just 9 walks, but he has given up 7 home runs, which is a little high. Currently pitching in AAA, we'll see what the Minnesota Twins decide to do, but really what's exciting about Mick Abel is the fact that he has 3+ pitches and a 4th pitch that's at least average, and if he can improve on his control a little bit, there's going to be a lot of potential there. Listed at 6'5", 190, the 23-year-old is definitely going to be a pitcher to watch out for, especially in any fantasy leagues that you're looking for spot starts. But also, if you're a Twins fan, this guy has the upside to be a 1 or 2 starter at the major league level. Granted, there have been some issues that have limited that upside, and given that he's already 23, probably more likely he falls into a number 3 starter role, but the upside is there, and if he can unlock some things, and pitchers have been unlocking things later and later as well as developments have come out about mechanics, and developing new pitches. So who knows? He could very easily reach his ceiling of a number 1 or number 2 starter. The first round pick in the 2020 draft by the Phillies, where he signed for just over $4 million, is someone to definitely be excited about if you're a fan of the Minnesota Twins. His fastball is his calling card. It is his strongest pitch. Its average is around 95, but it's gotten up to 98 at times. His curveball and slider are his 2 secondaries that he uses the most and are also the best pitches that he has outside of the fastball. And then he has a changeup oil that's about league average that really is solid, but isn't anything to write home about. He's really dominated in AAA as well across 74 innings pitched in 13 starts. He's 7-2 with a 2.31 ERA, 81 strikeouts across those 74 innings pitched. 32 walks is a little high, but he's actually allowed more home runs in 25 innings in the major leagues than he has in 74 innings in the minor leagues so far this year, giving up 5 in AAA and 7 again in the major league. Again, he needs to go ahead and improve on his control to really be a good pitcher going forward in terms of a number one or number two starter. That is really what is limiting him right now. The fact that his control and command is a little bit suppressed, and that's something he needs to work on to really reach his full potential. Again, it can happen. 23 is not old by any means. For prospect status, it kind of is. But Abel will be able to contribute to the Minnesota Twins this year if they want him to, if not next year. He's already on the 40-man roster. As I mentioned, he already made his major league debut. So definitely some really interesting things Mick Abel can offer a team like the Minnesota Twins right now. Now that we've talked about all three players in this deal, let's actually go ahead and grade each of these teams on how well they did and how well they made out in this deal. For the Phillies, I'm going to give this an A-. I'll admit that I'm a little bit biased because I am a huge Eduardo Tait fan. I think 50 is honestly a little bit too low. Again, 50 on Baseball America, 56 on MLB Pipeline. We'll see when MLB Pipeline does the full update after the trade deadline with draft prospects and all that, but I'm a huge Eduardo Tait fan. So trading him away definitely hurts a lot. I'm also looking at the catching depth in the Philly system, and Realmuto is a free agent after this year. And I don't know if you have anyone really set up to replace him. Of course, you can replace him with trades or free agency. There are other ways to get people to be your catcher, but I don't know. I feel like there were other ways that they could have acquired Jhoan Duran for another top prospect, which the Phillies have a lot of, especially at an infield position, or maybe a Justin Crawford, who, granted, they want to go ahead and probably play this year if they need to, as good depth. But still, I think there are other options without taking away from a position of relative need in terms of where you're at right now at the Major League roster. However, where you are at the Major League roster is win now, and I think that is also very important and why it still gets a very high grade. In my opinion, the Phillies' biggest weakness is the bullpen. Yeah, you could argue third base with Alec Bohm hurt, and Bohm hasn't necessarily been great so far this year. You could absolutely argue that. They definitely need some better players on the bench, especially if injuries keep racking up. But I really look at their bullpen, and I think, is that a postseason worthy bullpen? And for me, the answer is no. So I think adding another elite arm, you now have 4 high leverage arms in that bullpen. That is not a team I would want to be facing anytime soon when it comes to October. They get a good start from Zach Wheeler or Christopher Sanchez or Jesus Luzardo, who've all been arguably top 25 players so far this year, if not top 10, 15 pitchers in all of Major League Baseball. Christopher Sanchez should have been an all-star. Zach Wheeler is a dominant player. I don't know if that's a team I want to face with all of those bullpen arms they can call on at any moment. You get 2 7-inning starts from Wheeler and Sanchez, and then you get Kerkering and Strom, and then Romano and Duran in back-to-back games. Good luck to teams facing that. So I think it's a really good deal. But I also think trading away Abel, who I think was a little more expendable just given your current situation, and Eduardo Tait is very rich, but also you're acquiring 2.5 years of who might be the best closer in baseball. I think that's worth it. The Twins just get a straight up A in this regard. I don't know if I love the notion of trading away Jhoan Duran. I don't think they're that bad of a team. It's not like they're a basement dweller. They're not obviously going to contend this year, but I do think there is a lot of value for them in terms of keeping someone like Jhoan Duran. Obviously, his value is highest right now, so if you're going to capitalize on it, it makes complete sense. But I do think there was some value in actually having him stay long term and try and push for a championship in a year or two when hopefully you've retooled a little bit and feel a little bit more secure about your place in terms of where you're actually going to try and compete for a World Series. Duran might not be in the plans now, but I really like the players they got back. I've already talked about Eduardo Tait and how I'm a big fan of him. When he first signed for only $90,000 out of Panama, only I say $90,000, like that's not a lot of money to a lot of people, but I scooped him right up because I saw the potential, and he's someone I really, really think is going to be a superstar at the major league level. And looking at where the Twins currently sit in terms of catching depth, there's not a ton of players that really jump out and say this could be someone who could replace their current catcher in terms of Ryan Jeffers when he leaves, Christian Vasquez isn't long term, et cetera, et cetera. So I think Tait slides in perfectly there. And when you're looking at people who could be in a rotation, you have Joe Ryan, Simeon Woods Richardson, Zebby Matthews. If Ryan stays, of course, you could very easily slot Mick Abel in there right now, and you have a very solid rotation of 4 players. Pablo Lopez is out right now. David Festa will be coming back hopefully sometime soon, same with Bailey Ober. But you have a decent core of players who can help you compete right now. Marco Raya was a former top prospect, and Andrew Morris is someone that you're going to have to protect ahead of the 2025 Rule 5 draft. So maybe you call him up. I think there's some interesting plays that they can do to get some depth right now. And Abel adds that to a rotation that kind of needs some help, honestly, and also provides a lot of value in terms of being a top prospect with the potential to be a superstar. So thank you so much for watching this video. This is so exciting. A huge trade just occurred, and it's the best part of every deadline. Tell me what you think in the comments below if you agree, and make sure to subscribe to the channel to stay on top of all the trades that happen this trade deadline. Thank you again for getting to the end of the video, and I hope to see you in our very next video.